Bill Conrad here for Computer Science 156. We have arrived at this issue, creating a table component for our commit plus tests for it. So to understand what we are doing here, let's go take a look at our deployment on Doku. So I'm going to go to team02 dev pconrad on Doku, and I'm going to log in. And what we are creating here is this. This is the table component for restaurants. And you can see that I can sort by the restaurant name. I can sort by the description, can sort by the ID. I can edit and change mediocre corporate coffee and also bathrooms when traveling. Um, and I can edit, I can delete, whatever I want to do. This is the component that we want to create, but we want to create it for our database table for commits. So let's start by taking a look at the acceptance criteria. A table called commit table is visible in the storybook. It has all the fields in the database table. PR description, where the code addressing this issue is submitted, contains a screenshot of the new table. And the PR description has a link to the published storybook. To implement this, we're going to go under front-end source main components commit and create commit table modeled after restaurant table.js and UCSB dates table.js. Actually, it should be commit table.js. Sorry for that little typo there. But yeah, we'll figure it out. Let's go over to VS Code and let's go to okay, now I'm actually on a different branch right now. I need to get back on the branch that I was working on most recently. And that's one of the reasons it's nice to precede your branch name with your initials, because then when you do get branch -a, all of your branches will be together. So here is, let's see, commit form was my previous branch. So I'm going to continue building off that branch by doing get checkout PC commit form, get full origin PC commit form. And then I am going to do what? I am going to get checkout -b PC commit table. Let's now go into VS Code. And now I do have commits, and commit table is going to be a sibling to commit form. So I will create in here commit form.js. Sorry, not commit form.js, commit table.js. That makes more sense. And I will go under restaurants, grab the restaurant table code, just do a copy and paste. And now let's work through this. So we have import React from React, import our table and button column. These are some components that we've created to make it easier to make tables. Use backend mutation. We're going to keep that. Import cell to Axios params, delete and on delete success from main utils, restaurant utils. We're also going to need to make a file called commit utils. And that's going to go down here under utils. And you can see we've got restaurant utils. I'm going to copy and paste and rename this to commit utils. And in here, I will have my on delete success. It'll look just like that. Cell to Axios params delete will look just like that. But the difference is, instead of API restaurants, it will have API commits. And it's as simple as that. That's all there is to it. Now, what are these functions? This is a function that when I delete something, it's going to put a message on the console.log of my browser for debugging purposes. And it's also going to put a toast message, a little message that pops up and says, hey, we deleted this row from the database table. This is a function that's going to take one of the cells in my table, and it's going to pull out of the cell the ID value, and then it's going to turn that into the parameters that I need to pass to Axios. Axios is a piece of software that helps my front end communicate with my backend. So when we have communicated with the backend so far, we've been a human using Swagger to talk to the backend. Axios is the piece of software that allows our front end React code to talk to the backend. And these are the parameters that we're going to pass in when we want to delete something. So just as if I go back over to my React app and go to Swagger, and I go down to commits, where are my commits? Commits. Don't I have a backend for commits? Oh, I should. Oh, this is Daniel's dev instance. Let's change it to team02 dev Conrad. And now I should have commits. Do I have commits? Maybe I have not actually pushed to this. Maybe I've not updated this branch in a while. But just to illustrate under restaurants, delete API restaurants and the ID. If I put in 3, it should delete restaurant number 3. This is how I would do it with Swagger. By contrast, if I go to my code, this is how I'm doing it in my code, the cell to Axios params delete. So that's going to be used by our commit table. So that's what it's doing here. And we're going to import those not from main utils, restaurant utils, but main utils, commit utils, now that I have it. Use navigate is going to allow me to move between pages on the website. Has role is going to allow me to check whether a user has the admin or the user role. Export default function restaurant table. My component is not going to be restaurant table. It's going to be commit table. I'm not going to pass in a set of restaurants, but a set of commits. I am going to pass in current user, and my test ID prefix will not be restaurant table, but commit table. This is the use navigate hook that allows me to navigate from one page to another. We'll use that, by the way, for the edit button to navigate. In fact, here it is, the edit callback. When I click the edit button, it's going to navigate, but not to restaurants/edit, but to commits/edit, and then whatever the ID is in that cell of the table. This is my delete mutation. I've got my cell to Axios params delete function that's going to convert that cell to the parameters I need. On success, this is going to call that on delete success function every time we delete something. And API restaurants all. This is saying that anytime I delete something from the table, from the commits table, in this case, not the restaurants table, this key right here it's called the caching key. And what happens is we're going to fill our page initially with data by doing an API call on API commits all. And that's going to fill the page with data. Every time we delete something, we want the page to refresh. And what this does, it says when you do this backend mutation, meaning you're going to change something in the backend, in this case, it's a deleting one record. If you have some data cached with this key, refresh that data. This will become more clear when we actually build the index page. That's a little later stage in the project, but that's what that is for. Okay, here we have our delete callback, which is when we click the delete button, it's going to call the delete mutation on the cell that we clicked. Then let's see, what do we have here? Const columns, header ID, name and description. This is where we need to change this to match the fields in our database. For commits, it's message. The top one is actually the header that will show up in the table. And this one is so the second one needs to be like a variable. That's why it's lowercase. So we have message, URL, we have commit time, And one more, I'm trying to remember what the other one is. It's commit time. Oh, this is why we got the fixtures. So let's go with the commit fixtures. Author login. That's what it is. Author login. Oh, and yes. So we've got ID, message URL, commit time, and author login, author login. All right. Now we're saying if you're an admin, we're also going to push two more columns into this list. So this is our list of columns. And that's going to be a button column with edit. Primary and danger here are the CSS classes that are used by React Bootstrap to decide what color the button is going to be. Edit callback and delete callback, these are functions, JavaScript Lambda functions or arrow functions that are going to be called whenever I click that button. And then the test ID prefix is used so that if I have a data test ID, it has the correct prefix, which for this is, where was it? Commit table. So that's all of that. And then our table data equals, this is something people get wrong all the time. They forget to change this from data equals restaurants to data equals, in this case, it needs to be commits. If you get like for each is not a function, it's typically that. You've got the wrong variable here. All right, so that is pretty much it for our table. It's that simple. But of course, we can't really see our table until we create a entry in the storybook for it. So for that, we will go to our stories directory. And under components, we have commits. There's commit form stories. And we are going to make a new file called commit table stories. And we will grab the restaurant table stories, copy, plop those down in there. And let's start going through. We're gonna import restaurant table. No, commits table or commit table. I think it's just commit table. And this will be from main components, commits / commit table. Good. There's that. We want commit fixtures from fixtures, commit fixtures. We'll keep current user fixtures. We'll keep HTTP and HTTP response from MSW. MSW is mock service worker, and it's something that allows us to kind of simulate some mock interactions with our back end when we're in the storybook. So in the storybook, ordinarily, if you just plop one of these components in the storybook and it's trying to communicate with the back end, you'll just see error messages all over the place because it's trying to communicate with a back end that is, it cannot reach because it's not connected to any back end. This makes a little mock back end that it can communicate with. All right, we are going to put this under components, commits, commit table, and it's going to be a commit table. And this is going to be a commit table. This is going to be commits. It's going to be an empty set of commits. And it's going to be basically just a user who's logged in. That's going to be, it's going to show us what that looks like. 3 items ordinary user. It's going to be our commits, and we will go from our commit fixtures and take our 3 commits object. And then we'll do the same thing, but this time with an admin user, and we should see this time the edit and delete buttons. And then down here, here's our mock service worker. This is going to give us that fake back end so that we can try deleting something. So API restaurants, no. API commits, not restaurant deleted successfully, but commit deleted successfully. Now, it won't actually delete the commit because there isn't a database there. The table is being populated from these fixtures, but at least we will see that if we hit the delete button, if this is hooked up correctly, we should get actually see the message come back. So that's what we're going for. All right, we now have a story and we have a component, so we should be able to try it. So let's go into our front end directory and do npm run storybook. And let's see what we get. So under commits, we've got our commit form. Now we also have a commit table. So there is an empty commit table. Here is one that has 3 commits in it, and you can see I can sort, I can sort, I can sort, I can sort. This is with the admin user. I've got an edit button, and I click the edit button. I don't really see anything happen here. If I click the delete button again, I don't really see anything happen here. But if I were to look at the console, let's see, go inspect, and let's get rid of that and look at the console. And let's see, it's a little hard to see, but down here at the bottom, there it is, object, message, commit deleted successfully. Click commit, commit deleted successfully. Edit doesn't really do anything, but we can at least see that the commit is, in fact, trying to interact with that delete API commits. So we're in pretty good shape. This is ready except for the tests. So let's dive in and write the tests. For the tests, we're going to go under tests, components, commits, and we're going to need a file here under commits called commit table.test.js. And let's grab the restaurant table tests and plop them into our commit table tests. And what I like to do when I first run these is comment out all of the tests except for the first one, and then uncomment them one at a time as I update them. And that way, hopefully, each one passes as I fix it. So we'll scroll all over the end, except for that last closing brace. Command // I think it's control / on Windows and Linux. There I have one test. And let's start at the top here and change all our restaurants to commits. So restaurant table becomes commit table. I could do this with a search and replace, but I prefer to do it one line at a time so that I can really think about what I'm doing and also explain it to you in the video. So that's commit table. We're going to keep current user fixtures. These are now grayed out because I commented out the tests that use them, and we may have some problems with that because it doesn't like to have variables that are declared and not used. So what I can do is put an underscore in front of these. That sort of defeats that. It basically says, yes, I know this is unused. Don't bother me about it. Restaurant fixtures are going to become commit fixtures from commit fixtures. And so we'll have to remove these underscores as we bring those variables into use. All right, restaurant table tests becomes commit table tests. The expected headers are indeed ID, but then it's message, commit time, I think in UTC, something like that. Message, commit time in UTC, URL, and author login. The expected fields are ID, message, commit time, URL, and author login. So those are the headers. These are the fields. Test ID is going to be commit table. Renders empty table correctly. Current user is an admin user. Would do a restaurant table? No, a commit table. And we're not passing in restaurants, we're passing in commits. It's important to get that variable right. We pass in our current user. We'll expect all the headers, we'll expect all the fields, and hopefully we're in good shape. Let's see what happens when we run the test. So npm test, and npm test by default will just run the test from the file that's changed most recently. Let's see, import commit table. main components commit table. It does not like that. I think it's because the directory is called commits and not commit. So let's fix that. Commits, there we go. And try that again. npm test. And now what do we have? We have unable to find an element with a text commit time in UTC. So if we look through here, right. Commit time in UTC is how we specified it on the form, but on here it's just commit time. So we have two choices. We can either change the implementation or we can change the test. In this case, I'm going to change the implementation. I'm going to go back to my commit table and come down here, commit time in UTC. And now let's see what happens. Okay, still failed. What do we have now? Unable to find element with the text URL. And I think it's because I used capital letters probably. Here's author login, commit time in UTC. Yep, URL is all caps. This time I am going to change the test rather than the, because I like that to be all caps. So that now matches and the test passes. So we can now go on and uncomment our next test. So here's our next test. Uncomment. Has the expected column, headers, contents, and buttons. It's not a restaurant table, but a commit table. And at this point, I will go ahead and do a search and replace on restaurant table with commit table. And I'm going to go ahead and do restaurants equals and change that to commits equals. But for this one, I will check each one as I do it. So let's go to the top of the file, find the first one and say, yep, change that, change that, change that, change that. Restaurant fixtures.3 restaurants, that's going to occur a lot. Let's change that to commit, sorry, lowercase, commit fixtures.3 commits. So restaurant fixtures dot 3 restaurants becomes commit fixtures dot 3 commits, and we'll change that one, that one, that one, and that one. All right, so that hopefully will make things go a little faster. Let's look at this test. We've got commit table, commits. That all looks good. We need to uncomment this part of the test as well. And that seems quite reasonable. And then let's see. It looks like this is also part of the test. Looks like I didn't go far enough with my uncommenting. So let's keep on going down. But there's also some more stuff. It looks like we have, we're asserting that all of the headers are in the table, the expected headers, all the fields, but now we're looking at the content. And notice 2, Cristino's Bakery, 3, Freebirds. This is the text content that is from the restaurant fixtures. What I want is the text content that is from the fixtures for my commits. So I need to think about the first row in the table, the test ID for the column ID. If I look at my fixtures for commits, where are they? Let's actually close up some of these things. We don't need this, but we do need our fixtures. So commit fixtures. If I've got 3 commits, the first row, the ID is going to be 1. So let's actually split this vertically and let's go back to our commit table.test. So make a little more room here. This is saying that in cell row 0 column ID, the very first row in the table, the ID should be a 1, and it should be 1 as a string. And the next thing is not going to be name, it's going to be message. And it's not going to be Christino's Bakery. It's going to be this message right here. There we go. And then the next one, this is ID, and the ID of this one is going to be 3, which is actually what we already have. But instead of name, we want to check, and maybe this time, just for fun, we will check author login. And we want the author login on this one to be division 7. So we'll plop that right down in there. And then we want to make sure that we've got an edit button and we've got a delete button. And that's the test. So looks like it's passing. That's what this nice thing about NPM test is that it just runs continuously as you edit. Just to show that, if I come back over here and change division 7 to division 8, now it's saying, what? I expected division 8, but I received division 7. Let me see if I can do this where I'm doing it live on the screen. Change that 8 back to a 7, and boom, the test passes. So we're plugging away here. We're cooking along. We're going to uncomment this next test. And let's see, this next one has the expected column headers and content for an ordinary user. I think we can probably get away with taking these lines right here and replacing them with a copy paste of these lines from this test, because it's the same stuff. We're just looking to make sure that the table has some content in it. But this time we expect the edit and delete buttons to not be in the document, because for an ordinary user, they don't show up, only for admin users. All right, so there's that additional test. 3 tests have passed. The edit button, does it navigate to the edit page? Let's find out. We're going to uncomment this whole test, and then let's just walk through it. We have a commits table. We are, now again, we're asserting this 2 in Christino's Bakery, which is wrong. Now you may wonder, like, do we even need to do this? Haven't we already tested this already? But one thing to realize is that this await here is crucial. The await says, when you render the component, you might not have all the data right away. Wait until you see that the table has been rendered with all of this content before you go looking for the edit button. So we do need this. We could probably get away with just doing that one line, though, and that would be enough. And we know that the first row, we expect it to have a 1. And then we're going to look for the edit button. We're going to try to click the edit button. This little 3 dots here and this 3 dots is because I'm going to need to come back up here and remove those underscores because, well, we need those declarations. At this point, I'm going to also remove the underscores here. I don't think, well, we'll see. I think we're going to be all right because we're going to uncomment the code that uses that in just a second. So we expect the edit button to be the document, and we expect that when we click it, it's going to try to go, now this says restaurants edit to. That test should fail because it should be going to commits edit to. And let's see, indeed, let's see, what does it say? What does it say? It's showing that this expect to have been called, and what is it telling us? Yep, it expected restaurants edit 2, but I got commits edit 1 because that indeed is what it's going to navigate to, and that's what it should navigate to. And now, does that test now pass? It does. All right, we're almost done. The delete button, we want to make sure that the delete button does the right thing. So we will uncomment this final test, and let's look through it. We want to mock the API endpoint API commits. On a delete, we want to have the message that the commit was deleted. All right. Now this mock is necessary because we are testing our front-end component, a front-end component that's supposed to talk to the back end, but we don't have a back end, right? We only have our front-end code. This Axios mock creates a pretend back end that we can talk to just for the purpose of this test. So if it gets a message on this endpoint, API commits, it will send back a 200, which is the status HTTP status code for a good, you succeeded, and a message that the commit was deleted. So we set that up. We set up our table by rendering it. Again, we're checking, but this will be a 1. We really don't need the second expect. A 1 of them is good enough to make sure that the table has been populated with data. We're going to look for the delete button in the first row. We expect it to be in the document, and then we're going to click it. And then we expect that we will have done a delete, and we'll expect that the parameter in this case is not 2, but 1, because the first row in our table is going to have a 1 for the ID. And let's see if that test passes. It does. If I change that back to a 2, the test should fail, and it does. And you can see expected 1 received. Expected -1 received +1. Well, this is really the point. The object has a 2 and it should have had a 1. Yeah, so that's what's, I think this is just showing us that the green is the expected and the red is the received. So I'll change this back to 1, which is what we expect it to be. Again, because we expect it to be a 1, because in our commit fixtures, the first of these 3 commits has an ID of 1. If I were to change this to a 7, then we would see that expected 1, but we got 7. So we've got a bunch of failed tests. Let's change that back to a 1 because that's what it should be. So are all of our tests passing? All of our tests are passing. Let's do npm run coverage to do a quick check of the test coverage. And hopefully we get 100% on everything. It's just a quick way, because it runs way faster than mutation testing, to make sure we just didn't forget to write tests for something. But now we will do the npx striker run -m, and I will go to my commit table, and I will do copy path and paste that in. So the command is npx striker run -m, and then paste in the full path of the file. And this runs way faster than just doing a plain old npx striker run on the entire code base. You see it just runs just like that. We're good. So get status, get add dot, get status. So we've got a commit table, commit utils, commit table stories, commit table test. I can tell you right now, if we push this through, we're going to have some striking mutation exceptions, because I also created this file of commit utils, and we didn't run striker on it. So if I take source main commit utils and run striker on that, I think you're going to see we're going to have some mutation testing exceptions, and indeed we do. And the way to fix that is to write tests for the utils as well. And if we look under our test directory, let's close up stories and look under utils, we will see that there are indeed tests for the UCSB date utils, and we can use that to make commit utils .test.js. And in here, let's look through this. Main utils, not UCSB date utils, but commit utils. And then let's see, the rest of this we're going to leave alone. This is going to be commit utils. On delete success, we want to check that it puts the message on console log and in a toast. So on delete success, we'll call that with ABC. We expect the mock toast to have been called with ABC. We expect console.log to have been called and the message to match ABC. We want to make sure that cell to Axios params delete returns the correct params. We'll make a cell with an ID of 17. We'll call it. And we expect this to not be API UCSB dates, but API commits delete ID 17. Now, if we do npm run npm test, we're good. And if we do striker run on our commit utils, 100%. So get status, let's add that as well. Get commit minus M PC. This is add commit table tests and stories. Let me grab this because we can't really see the whole command line anymore. There we go. Git commit, make sure my quotes match. Git push origin PC commit table. And I think we did that with this all in a single commit. So we can open our pull request. And in this PR, we add the commit table. To do insert storybook link. To do insert screenshot of table. So I'll click create pull request. We won't get the storybook link until the GitHub Actions runs, and this is pull request 111. You can see pull request 111 isn't here yet, but when the actions are finished running, it should be. It should be there. So we'll just give that a few minutes, and then we should be able to copy that into the pull request description and be able to drag that over to the in review column. So basically right now we have our pull request. Our description is not complete yet, but we just need to wait on these yellow circles to turn green. So I'll pause the video for a moment while we wait on that. Oh, red X on 35 front-end format. Silly me, I forgot to do npm run format. And I also forgot to do npx ESLint -- fix dot. All right, get status, get add dot, get commit -m PC. Oh, sure, get status first. Get commit -m PC fix formatting. Get push origin PC commit table. Okay, so that will restart all of our GitHub Actions, unfortunately. So we'll give that a second to cook. And once again, I'll stop the video while that cooks. This should take 5 or 10 minutes. And then hopefully we'll be able to link. Actually, we can't already link the pull request to the issue. So let's take care of that. Go back to my project and type in my GitHub ID. This is issue 93. So this pull request, can get back to it by doing that. This pull request is going to close issue 93. Edit. Closes 93. And we should also say merge after. And the previous pull request is the one that closed the issue before this. I'm just going to say merge after to do fill this in, update comment. We can also look and see what was my previous pull request by going here and doing author. And my previous pull request was number 99. So this will be merge after 99. Edit, merge after number 99. Update comment. And so let's see, still looking at our checks here. Oops, let's do it over here. It's a little bit easier to see the whole list of checks. We've got some green. Okay, we've got our UI review. And it's still, it's comparing the stories. Let's look at our details. And it is still, the build is still in progress. So we'll hang on that for a minute. Let's look at the, yeah, we'll wait on that for a second until it's done. All right, let's just pause the video while we wait on this to settle down. All right, so on this, everything is green now except for these two, the UI review and UI tests. So one thing that can help us here is if we go to the chromatic build page. So I click on details. If we go down to manage and go here where it says UI review enabled and click disable, then the next time we push a build, it won't ask us to go to chromatic and approve the builds. So we won't get those little annoying yellow circles anymore. So in the meantime, though, we need to go to the review the new and updated UI. So if I go in and say, let's see, how do I do this? Go to build 57. And what's happening here is it's telling us that the commit table is new. It wasn't in the storybook before. So we need to verify that those changes are acceptable. And so we can basically just say verify changes. And that one, yeah, that one looks okay. That looks like an empty table. So we'll click accept. That looks like 3 items ordinary user. That looks good. 3 items admin user, accept. The idea here is a great idea. The idea is that anytime there's a visual change in your application, you want to check and make sure that it is what you expected it to be. And that's the idea. Sometimes it gets a little stuck. So turning off the visual checks can be a way to just kind of get through the project. This is the first quarter, fall 2024, the first quarter that we're working with chromatic and this visual testing. So we're still kind of figuring out the best way to work with it. In any case, you have the option to go into manage and either enable or disable those visual checks. If you are able to, if you're finding that it's not a problem for you to go in and on your pull requests and get that yellow circle to turn green, then by all means, keep it on. If it is starting to be a problem, then you may want to disable that. So let's see, build 56. Yep, there's some also some changes here to accept. So let's see. Inspect snapshot. That's no. I am trying to reviewing disabled. Maybe it is the case that so this is build 56. Everything is accepted. No, this is build 57. In build 56, read only because there's a newer build. Go to build 57 now. And it does appear that this is still yellow, which is sort of annoying. Maybe what I need to do is turn the reviewing back on temporarily. So let's try that. Let's enable it. And then maybe I can, see this one, it won't let me review because there is a newer one. And I don't know if that's what's holding this up. Yep, I'm showing you this because I want you to see that I'm struggling with this as well. Um, but once we figure this out, I think this is going to be super helpful. But in the meantime, let's go back one more time and see if we can get this green on CI. So here is our pull request. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Actions, and I'm going to run the chromatic job again. So here is 55 chromatic on my pull request, and I'm going to run the workflow, and I want to run it on my branch, which is the commit table. And the hope is that that will take my pull request and take this yellow circle, and well, I don't know if it's going to though. Go review the new and updated UI. Let's try it. If we go here, review now, approve, PR yourself, and now it's green, and view PR on GitHub, and now it's green. Hooray, we got it. So now while we're thinking about it, let's disable the UI review so that hopefully that will not trip us up again. And this one is ready to, actually, first of all, let's fill in the rest of the storybook link here. So we now have pull request 111. If I go over here and go to pull request 111, go to the storybook and go to the commits table. And here it is. Grab that and go to my pull request and go in and edit. And there's the storybook link on storybook. And then I will also go to the storybook. There's the 3 items with admin user. And I will make a screenshot of it. Screenshot. Boom. And preview that. There we go. Update comment. And we are now ready to drag that one over to in review and start the next story. So here we go. Drag that to in review. That was issue 93. We're now going to work on issue 94. So issue 94 is copying the placeholders for the commit pages and adding them to the nav bar. We will do that in the next video. Thanks for watching.